Welcome to You Can't Break Us, the podcast sharing real stories of parental alienation and family court injustice. I'm your host, Kaylin Hawkinson. Each episode, I sit down with brave guests who open up about their personal journeys, the pain, the resilience, and the fight for justice. These stories are raw, real, and powerful because speaking out is how we break the silence and remind the world, you can't break us. So hi, Alicia. Thank you for being here today. I really appreciate you being willing to share your story openly. And to get it started, could you maybe share when the alienation began?
November 2021.
Okay. And how did the alienation occur? How was the other parent able to kind of control things and start alienating?
Well, I might have to change that. It technically started towards the end of 2016, but 2021 was when it got the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what was the question?
That's okay. What are some things he did that controlled how it went, basically, the relationship with you and your children? How did he create the alienation?
Oh, well, he took off with my son, or our son that we had together, and hid him from me. Then he called CPS multiple times. He started, as our son got older, he started lying about me to our son, saying that I'm a liar. He shouldn't believe anything that I tell him, and did his best to keep him from me. He tried really hard to keep our son from me, calling the police on me. I used to have to go to his house for visits with our son, and he would call the police, um, saying that I needed to leave because I was bringing him food to eat and bringing him outside. I mean, these are literally the reasons why he called the police.
And
Press
he would,
charges.
oh,
I'm sorry. Like, he would press
no,
charges
go
on
ahead.
me, trying to get me arrested for crimes I didn't commit. Just, that's just a few of the things that he would do.
Yeah. And he would make you come to his house then for visits?
It was his mother's house. He was living with his mother.
Okay. And was there any court order in place, or was he just kind of making up his own rules as he went?
There was a court order saying I had supervised visits. We were going through the custody battle at the time.
Okay. And during that time going through court, how did you feel the courts handled things, or how did you feel CPS handled things?
Well, when it comes to CPS, it's really just a gamble. You could have good workers come out, you could have bad workers come out. So at the time, I did feel like CPS was handling it in a good way. They just came out, they saw the allegations were false, and they didn't even open a case, really. The courts, I felt it was, they didn't handle it very well at all. It was ridiculous how much my ex was able to get away with.
Yeah. And did you, to expand on that a little bit, could you maybe give some examples of how the court handled it? Of maybe did you have evidence that you felt was ignored or anything like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. All the evidence was ignored. I would take video when I went out to his mother's house of, like, for example, there was this one time that I was trapped in the house. I had two other children at the time as well, and they were very young at the time. They were only about 9 and 10, and they were stuck outside. As soon as I walked in the door to get my son, his name is James. My ex shut the door, locked it, and refused to let me out. My other two sons were outside by themselves. I was trying to get them inside or go outside. He was trying to refuse to let me allow our son to go outside. Um, and
Wow.
I had to call the police. It was a whole thing. And when I brought it up in court, it was just like it fell on deaf ears, and that was just one of the very many things him and his mother would do to me. And it took 2 years for me to get my son back. And it was constant police calls, constant CPS calls, a false police report claiming I was stalking him, and that was turned out, it was proven to not be true. And it was just so many problems. And it's ridiculous that it took 2 years for me to get my son back. And then my ex had shown up at my mom's home and threatened her twice with witnesses present. And
Wow.
she pressed charges. He had 2 warrants out for his arrest for assault. I did get my son back temporarily for 2 weeks because of that, but then the judge allowed my son to go back with him again, despite having the warrants
Wow.
out for his arrest. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that is. And so during that time, you mentioned how you had to contact police multiple times. How did you feel it's handled when needing to contact police?
I feel like it depends on who's contacting the police, and that's a gamble too. That they'll show up, even if it's my ex and his mother was calling the police. Sometimes they would still be on my side, because I was video recording, so I was able to show the police officers exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
But usually, if they called the police would be on their side. If I called the police, they'd be on my side. But I felt, I couldn't believe that they were never arrested for the things that they did. I don't know. It's like everybody was handling it just very carelessly, and they were
Yeah.
just waiting for something horrible to happen before um, someone got arrested. I feel like especially when I was trapped inside that house, an arrest could have been made, definitely.
Yeah. Did the police ever make comments that, this is something that needs to be handled in court and they really couldn't do anything about it then?
They did say that. They said that multiple times. They said we were going to court, but I was going to supervised visits, and then they would cancel the visits. Like when I would show up there, it was it didn't really take long. As soon as I did something they didn't like bring our son outside, um, they wanted to just end the visit. And even though I had court ordered visitation, the police would say, well, they're in charge of the visits, so they can cancel when they want to. And I feel like the whole reason they didn't want me bringing them outside is because they wanted me trapped in that house, just to push my buttons, because that's what they would do when I was trapped inside the house. They would do whatever they could to try to push my buttons.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to go outside, to try to distance myself from them.
Yeah. So did they do things in front of your son basically to try and kind of manipulate the visit and paint you as this bad parent to your son?
Well, I feel like they were not able to do that because he was really young at the time. He was just a baby. He was
Oh,
only
okay.
about 5 months old. He was 6 months old when he took off with them, so he was too
Okay.
young. But my other two children would witness these things, and my oldest one, he was only 10 at the time. There was this one time he sat on the couch shaking, crying, hyperventilating because he was scared to do anything, because my ex's mother was she would yell at me. She was following me around the house, pointing her camera at me like that. I tried to go into our son's room to see what his room was like, and she shoved me out of the way. At the time, I wasn't recording, so I couldn't even prove it. But I called the police, and they said, well, you're trying to go into bedrooms that don't belong to you, so she has a right to put her hands on me. And, so it was like they were using excuses for her. And so I had to stop allowing my oldest children to come with me so they weren't further traumatized.
Yeah. Yeah, it does create trauma for children who are witnessing these things. And even though your child is a baby, it's these things still affect a baby. And so, do you feel like this was a setup, like him and his mother planned this, especially if it seems like she has, you have your supervised visits at her house. She clearly has, a room for a baby to have your son there. And if, his dad is living there with him, do you feel like it was set up at all? Or how did he just take the baby and leave and do this to you?
Oh, it was definitely set up. I figured that out shortly after the whole mess started because when he took off with our son, he claimed he was just going to his dad's in Tylertown to visit with him, show him our son, and he said he'd be back in a few days. A few days later, I showed up at home and he was packing all of his stuff, and my son wasn't with him, and that's when he told me he hid our son somewhere where I would never find him. And
Wow.
then about a few days later, a cop showed up at my door with subpoena papers for court, and that's when I realized he went to court. So after we had went to court, well, I had gotten a lawyer, but after we had went to court, I had found out that he went to court behind my back while he was still living with me. And so yeah,
Okay.
it was definitely a setup between them.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely sounds like it. And for him to go behind your back and do that, obviously planning it with his mother and lying to you. And so to get this to the point where you had supervised visits, it sounds like all the claims he made to court or to CPS, calling, making false reports on you, it seems like he was kind of knowing how to play the system to do that to you. And they made you start having supervised visits. Was it based on that then because of all of his false claims, which eventually you were able to kind of overturn that and get your son back?
Yeah, it was he had made the worst accusations against me, and it was 2 pages long, front and back. There were countless allegations, and so
Yeah.
just in case the allegations were true, that's when the court put it in place that I had to have supervised visits until we could get through the whole,
Yeah.
and we went back and forth to court for about 2 years because of that. And the reason the court did not believe him was because he never had any evidence proving anything he ever said. And, with all the videos I took, him and his mother really looked like the aggressors. And, so those were the main contributing factors that finally got my son back to me.
Yeah. And so in the end, you were able to get your son back and have custody. And where is that now then? Does he have visits or does he see your son?
Well, that's why I said it got worse in 2021 because I don't have any of my children now because of him. He's back with his
Oh,
dad
no.
again.
Okay. Oh, okay. So he was able, did he contact, kind of go through the whole routine again where he started filing false reports and doing what he could to get your son away then?
Oh yeah, and I feel like maybe he knew somebody that was involved because they were just adamant on helping him. And anything that he had done wrong, they were sweeping under the rug. They were doing everything they could to protect him. And what happened what happened in that case was severely worse than I've ever experienced with any case I've ever heard of with CPS.
Wow.
So they
And
really
that's
went to great lengths to get him away this time.
And that's after you already went through court and got custody and had your son back. And then it's like it started all over again, basically.
Yeah, this is the worst nightmare. It's like I haven't even heard of another case like mine. That's how bad it was with us. Like it's really bad. It was severely bad. And he finally won this time. The courts didn't care what the truth was. They didn't look at the evidence. It's hard. I found that it was very hard to find a lawyer that would defend me, and my case was extremely easy to defend. Long story short, when I had gotten him back, I had to work on teaching him everything because my ex, he didn't even potty train him. He was 2 when I got him back, and he was still in diapers. So, I had to work very hard with him and teach him everything. And so I had him back for about a year before he got him taken away from me again.
Okay. And with this last time experiencing that, how was it different this time, maybe with how CPS handled it compared to the first time? Did CPS handle it very differently?
They handled it extremely worse than I've ever seen in my life. First, they had my 2 oldest children arrested, and I've never even heard of them having children arrested.
Yeah,
And
what
then
ages were they at this point?
they were only 14 and 15. I'm not sure what I can say on here, but they accused my kids of raping their brother.
Okay.
And I know that came from my ex because while I was going through the custody battle, he had accused me, my cousin, and my oldest son of molesting him. And all of that was disproven.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of his little tricks to try to get custody, to try to make me look as bad as he possibly could and as much of a danger as he could to our son so he could get custody.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then about it was only 2 weeks after they had taken all of the children too that they had my oldest sons arrested.
So, since they were arrested, are they in, I don't know what all you are okay sharing, but are they in juvie or what does that do? Are they literally taken from you?
Well, they were in the adult jail for about 13 months, and they
Oh,
finally scared them into taking plea deals for probation. So now they're on the registry for something that never even happened. And just to give a good detailed explanation of, well, not detailed, but just of how corrupt they were acting in our case. When I had all of my children, we were living in Gulfport at the time, and I had about 15 mandated reporters involved in our family to help the children with their separate issues. My all 3 of the kids, the 2 oldest would go to a place called Dream Tree 5 days a week, 8 hours a day for therapy. My son James was in a play. It's called My Pack. Basically, it's where a therapist and My Pack facilitator come to your home once a week to have therapy with the child, so they see the inside of your home and everything. And
okay.
then I had the police involved because my son James was exhibiting violent sexual behaviors, which is why I had him in therapy. So I got the police involved to investigate. I called CPS myself out of pure desperation to try to find out what was happening. Took him to the doctor to have him checked. It was a whole thing. And when they took the kids away, it was for that accusation. They were accusing my teenage sons of raping him. So they all had forensic medical exams, and there was no injuries on James that would indicate that he had been raped by anybody. But still, they arrested him. And They
Wow.
had the kids in, like I said, for 13 months before they finally just took plea deals. Then they had me. I was pregnant at the time. So I gave birth about a month and a half after they took the kids away. CPS showed up, took our baby from the hospital before he was
Oh.
even a day old. I haven't seen him to this day.
How
And
long? Since 2021? Or
yeah,
when was that, I guess? Okay. Wow.
it was the end of December 2021, and then 3 weeks later they had me arrested. So it was, not only was it really bad with what they did to us, but it was constant hits. Like I didn't even have a break from any of it. It was, 2 weeks after they took the kids, they had them arrested. Then a month and a half later, they took our baby. Then 3 weeks later, I was arrested, and it was one thing after the other.
Wow. That is horrifying. Did you know CPS was planning to come take your baby, or did they just do it and it shocked you?
It didn't shock me. I felt like it might have happened. We were trying to put protections in place for him to keep it from happening. I was talking with our attorneys, which, by the way, we paid $18,000 to defend us.
Hmm.
Called our attorneys to try to do something to prevent it from happening. I was talking with family members about maybe taking our baby. So he wasn't taken away by CPS. Nothing worked. It just, I couldn't give custody to anybody until he was born. And, by that time, it was just too late.
Wow. So that baby, what happens when CPS takes a newborn? Is the baby put into the system like foster care, or do you know any information, or do they completely cut you off?
No, I got all the information. He was put into a foster home, and they're trying to strip my rights now with him and one of his brothers, so the foster parents can adopt our children.
Oh, wow. And so all this is based off no actual evidence though. They never actually had evidence to any of these claims, yet they made all these decisions and removed the children.
Yeah, I can even prove that they lied repeatedly because I, at one point, said that I wanted to defend myself. That way, they had to give me everything. And then after that, I told them I wanted a lawyer. So I kind of tricked them a little bit, but that way I could get all the discovery. And so I have
Yeah.
everything. I can prove that they lied repeatedly, lied on the warrant, lied on CPS reports. Unfortunately, legally speaking, I can't show CPS reports, but I can show other reports.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That is truly horrifying to think a system in place to protect our children's best interests, protect the rights, can truly go the opposite direction and becomes just traumatizing and horrifying like that and ruining families, parent-child relationships. Is there anything, I don't know where that goes, I guess, from here? Do you have to go back to court? Does that make you go back to court to try and fight it? Or where does that leave it, I guess?
Well, I had went to trial I was being accused of 4 counts of child neglect. Um, so that's what they were accusing me of. I went to trial for it to try to fight it, um, which I have the transcripts of my trial too. But after witnessing what happened at my trial, thankfully it ended in a hung jury, but basically my lawyers really did little to nothing to help me. The prosecutor was lying about everything. She paraded witnesses in there to lie under oath repeatedly, and I didn't have anybody. It was by the grace of God that it at least ended in a hung jury. Um, so I went ahead and took a plea deal because I felt like I was going to go to prison for something I didn't do. And
Yeah.
I got the transcript. I plan to, I have a YouTube channel, but this has been so traumatizing. I had to say, I had to like step back for a little while from my channel to try to heal from this. Um, I was too much of in a dark place at the time to even focus on it anymore. But I do plan to start. I'm trying to get back with it again, and I was going to make a video showing what happened at my trial using the transcripts. But right now, I can't go back to court. Um, After taking the plea deal, full custody was taken away from me and my husband for all of the children. That's why they're trying to
Wow.
strip me of my rights now so they can adopt them out. The only way for me to fight this at this point is if I got a lawyer to fight for me and to get my plea deal overturned.
Yeah.
But they would have to get my children's plea deals overturned too, and it's just a whole thing. It's a big process, and I
Yeah.
can't
That's a
afford another
lot.
lawyer. Yeah, so
Right.
I, I
It's
don't expect.
financially.
Yeah, and we had already put. I mean, I stopped counting at around $25,000. We put a lot of money into fighting that case, and you know, the lawyers I had at first that we paid $18,000. They were backstabbing us. They were going behind our back, talking to his mother and my husband's mother, who was against us, and so it turned out that they were not on our side. They were just taking advantage of us. And I had to fire
Yeah.
them. I had to get public defenders, and they weren't helping me. It was horrible. I mean, it was not only was it traumatizing because of everything they were accusing me of, they weren't even accusing my husband of anything. I was being attacked besides my children. I felt
Yeah.
ostracized as well. Um, from like the community, everybody. Nobody wanted to be around me because word got out our children were taken away. So we were being threatened. People were threatening to kill us. I got that on video. People were following us, threatening us. Nobody wanted to be around me. They didn't want their children around me. So it was very. That's why it was so damaging for me because these are horrible accusations, you know. And at every single court hearing, at every single family team meeting, anytime we had to meet up, like the circuit court, um, for the hearings too, because not only did we have to go to hearings for youth court, but we had to go to hearings for circuit court. It was always some horrible accusations. They were hitting me with a bunch of accusations. I've had people roll their eyes at me in court, kind of mock me, going like this when I was
Yeah.
testifying. I mean, it was really bad. And then
Wow.
outside of all of that, I was dealing with the threats from our neighbors. Um, I've lost jobs because of it. I mean, it was just really bad. And right now, I don't see
Yeah.
being able to get my children back, except for the oldest one. I have to wait until they're 20 before they are able to even come back home, before they're released from CPS custody and they can come home. But they're the only ones that I have any
Okay.
hope of getting back at this point. And my ex has full
Wow.
custody of his son, even though there is plenty of evidence to show that he was doing something wrong to our son.
Wow. And he's the one that continuously made these claims on you and just kept going with it.
Oh yeah, he had even accused me of having a child with my father. I mean, he made horrible accusations, really bad.
Wow.
And it was, yeah, he had made a bunch of more accusations against me during this whole case, and they were just all listening to him. That's why I said I felt like he needed somebody involved in this case because I did everything to help our children. I was doing everything the right way. He wouldn't even take our son when he had our son for supervised visits because that's what he ended up getting. I mean, not supervised visits, it was unsupervised, but every other weekend. He wouldn't take him to his therapy appointment. He wouldn't let anyone come to his home to check the place out. He wouldn't talk to his therapist, be a part of, his therapy meetings. It was just, he was showing a lot of red flags. And that's what I meant
Yeah.
by anytime I brought that up, CPS would just try to swerve the conversation in another direction, trying to protect him. and
Mm-hmm.
completely come after me. It's like they were out to completely annihilate our family.
Yeah. After experiencing that, is there anything you take away from that that you maybe, if the system could change how they handled things, is there anything that kind of comes to mind that you wish they handled differently or could change in the system to make it better?
Oh, I already have all of that written down. I had made a list of everything. There's so much that needs to be changed. Our rights are
Yeah.
being violated, especially with youth court. First of all, it's private. It shouldn't be private. It should be open to the public. There should be a jury. We should have a chance at a jury trial. I mean, we're being accused of crimes when they take our children away. Child
Yeah.
neglect or abuse is why they take the kids. Those are crimes, So we should be able to have a right to a jury trial so we don't have to face a biased judge. Then, um, I mean, there's so much. I mean, they take our kids if we refuse to let them inside, which I do with them. I refuse to let them in without a warrant. I record them at all times. They just call the judge and get permission to take the children if that happens. I mean, there is so much that needs to be changed. It baffles me, like how much
Yeah.
CPS are allowed to get away with. I feel like they shouldn't have the right to take children unless they have evidence that the allegations are true in some way. I really could go on and on, but I've went
Right.
I've went through this. I went through every area.
Yeah.
I I, I emailed senators, and I haven't heard anything back. I mean, I did everything in our case to try to help our situation, and it's like no one cared. I contacted
Right.
news stations, I contacted senators, I contacted um shoot, I can't even
Uh,
think of her name right now. The woman above CPS.
Like the manager or supervisor of it or outside of CPS?
No, the one head over CPS. I can't even think of her name now. I contacted her
That's,
though.
yeah.
Shoot.
A lot
She
of,
was
I mean,
kind of,
you reached out to a lot of people.
yeah, basically. She was put into office by Tate Reeves, the one I'm talking about. The woman. I forgot her name. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, I contacted
Yeah.
everybody. I went up the ladder, filing complaint. It didn't seem to help. I think the only thing that would help at this point is having the laws changed, making the laws stricter, making it more protection for the innocent parents, to defend
Yeah.
ourselves against CPS.
Yeah.
And the CPS
Especially when there
reports
was
shouldn't
no,
surprise me either.
yeah.
Because that's,
Espe-
I don't know. I feel like it should be open to public scrutiny, Keeping a CPS report private like that, I'm sorry. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And it, like you said, it affects your reputation, affects your livelihood, how others are viewing you. I mean, I can only imagine your emotional and mental health during those times going through it. I mean, how was there anything you found to help you get through it with healing or pushing through? Because it's so hard to keep afloat and keep yourself fighting and going through it. Was there anything that helped you?
Well, one of the main things that helped me was support from the few people that actually would talk to me and my family. You really have to build a support system of people that you can trust, people
Yeah.
that are not going to, argue with you or cause you any type of stress at all. People that will genuinely just support you and be there for you. Also, just trying to stay busy. It's so easy to fall into a deeper depression when you're just staying inside all the time. I did that quite a bit. I used to live in my bed. I was severely depressed is just an understatement. I mean, it's like I
Sure.
wasn't even alive anymore.
Yeah.
And hang on, can you hear me?
Yep, I can.
Oh, yeah, just trying to stay busy and also to remind yourself of what you, how you are as a parent, basically, because it's so easy for a CPS to trick you into thinking that you're this monster they're trying to make you out to be. And you have to remind yourself, I did take care of my children. I did this for them. I always had food at the house. I got them clothes and shoes, kept the house clean. You know, you have to constantly remind yourself of how you were as a parent because they can easily
Yeah.
brainwash you into thinking that you were this bad parent, you know, and those are the main things that really helped me. I mean,
Yeah.
I did spiral down a lot, but because of our situation, I didn't really I couldn't leave the house. We were threatened to be like people were openly threatening to kill us all the time.
Wow.
And I didn't have very many people to turn to. My sister was the only one I could talk to at the time. Well, and one of my cousins. That was it. That's all I had. Um, and I didn't want to overwhelm them by, you know, just calling them every day. So I just try to keep a lot of the stuff to myself.
Yeah.
So it's just what I was being accused of was pretty severe, and it caused me to be severely ostracized, like as bad as it was for me.
Yeah.
But that's why it was as bad as it was for me. So I really got bad. I even attempted suicide at one point. I was found. I was sent to the hospital. It got really bad for me, but that's the advice I would give to people, and also to collect evidence. Collecting evidence really does help. Um, it helps confirm your belief that you were a good parent when you show that you
Yeah.
took them to the doctor and took them to the, and then it's keeping busy too. You know, it's working on your own case. I would tell anybody to collect whatever evidence that they could, record everything. I even started recording
Mhm.
phone calls. CPS wouldn't call me
Yeah.
anymore. They knew that I was going to be recording them. That way, if they said something, if they lied, you could prove it wasn't true.
Yeah. I think those are great points. And to talk about the evidence, I also agree. I also did that, recording everything you can, collecting evidence, documenting messages, keeping all messages, whatever you can. And to that point though, for even your own self to see it, because going through that and being interrogated and kind of dehumanized and they try to brainwash, manipulate you into changing your own mindset and tearing you down so much to make you feel like, wow, I must actually be this bad parent because it's just continuous treatment like that. But even your evidence for your own self to look at and kind of bring you back to that place, like I have this evidence. I did good things. I was a good parent. I have everything proven, even when courts don't always allow all the evidence to be shown. I think your mention of even having it for yourself is a good point as well.
Oh yeah, and
And
you know, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I just lost track of thought whenever that happened.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Sorry, I just don't have ADHD.
No, you're fine. I do it too. You mentioned earlier getting back at some point doing your YouTube. Do you want to say what your YouTube is? Maybe listeners want to follow you when you start it back up or look at your story further. What is your YouTube?
Well, it's called Auditing Mississippi. It's all one word, and basically it's about exposing corruption in the government. I started it because of this case. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say a lot of people because I talk to a lot of people. Well, I used to talk to a lot of people about their cases. Um,
Yeah.
and the theme I see with people is they're too afraid to step up because they're told by their lawyers, you know, just don't cause any waves. they're going to not give your kids back. If they're going to do something to you, it's going to happen whether or not you're defending yourself or not. It's better to defend yourself. They use scare tactics all the time so parents don't defend themselves. So they don't start collecting evidence and they don't start recording them. I was nice. I played the nice game. I did everything they told me to. I completed a service agreement, even though you don't have to sign a service agreement unless what they're accusing you of is true. You can refuse to sign the service agreement. But anyway, so that's what I was going to say that I forgot. But I started it because of this case. It was after my kids took plea deals. That's when I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done playing nice. That was the last straw for me. I felt so bad for my children. I mean, their lives are in danger at this point. You know, they're on the registry. Their lives are in danger. They're just children. I mean, now they're 18 and 19, but I couldn't handle that. So I started making the videos, and I kind of started with our story because, it's a really good, our story is one of the best examples of corruption in the government with how bad it was, but also just to kind of show, you know, why I started my channel. It was simply because of our case. And I was going to start with other people's stories too. So that's what it's about. That's what it's called. I am working on the video now of what happened at my trial. Taking it
and just
a little bit at a time.
Yeah. And just to repeat the name, just in case people didn't hear it the first time, it's called Auditing Mississippi. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And I think it was a good point mentioned also how the corruption, how going through that and being treated that way silences you as and it comes back to needing support system as well, but how being treated that way silences us. It's to, people are scared to publicly speak out or publicly say things because what you're being shown or taught is that they can retaliate on you. They can, do further damage. More things can happen to you. And so people do get scared to speak out and say the truth and show the corruption and what's happening. And that's very unfortunate and silences us.
Yeah, I mean, they might as well put duct tape over our mouths, right? Because that's what they tell us, well, you're not going to get your children back if you want to act this way. They'll bring it up in court and say that, we're a problem because we're recording them. We're not cooperating with them, even though we are. It's just we are standing our ground, and so parents will do anything that they can to get their children back, and so they want to just lie down flat like a mat. No offense to them, I'm not being hateful. It's just that's what you become. You become this doormat because you're doing anything that you can to get your kids back. But the more parents are doing this, the longer CPS is going to get away with it. If more people would stand up and fight back, maybe then something would be done about it, about what they're doing wrong.
Yeah, I commend you for doing that and working on your YouTube channel, wanting to show what's happened or what continues to happen, even with maybe other people you know of or connect with. But you've been through so much with the corrupt system, and I truly appreciate you coming on here and being open about it and sharing it the way you did. It's definitely not easy, and I do appreciate you doing that today for us.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate you having me on here.
Of course.
Another thing I'll say too is I even went as far as to writing out a victim impact statement for myself, and that's one of the videos I have on my channel. But it really helped me. It kind of made me feel like my voice was heard at least a little bit. I could get out some of my grief and frustration with that. So that really did help me too. because
A
we are
victim
victims.
impact statement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And so maybe just to describe a victim impact statement for listeners who maybe haven't thought of it before, is that just you kind of writing your own letter to yourself, getting out how it felt or what happened?
I wrote, yeah, how it made me feel for all this to happen. Kind of like I was speaking at, kind of like a speech I was writing to speak at court. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how it made me feel basically is how the speech went. And, that was actually one of the hardest videos for me to make because I had no idea how to build that video. I was like, should I just stand there and
Yeah.
read it on camera? But I felt like that would be awkward and boring. And so I was like, well, maybe I should do an animation. But I was like, no, I don't want to do an animation. And it took me like a good 2 months to figure out exactly how I was going to build that video. I was stumped with that one. So I
Yeah.
decided to play videos in the background of our children and our home and everything to kind of
Oh,
make it a little interesting. Yeah. So yeah, that was actually one of the hardest ones that I had to make.
yeah. Well, and that's very vulnerable too, to be open like that and say the feelings, what happened. That is a tough video to make. And I think for listeners, parents who have gone through parental alienation, or even people who have trauma, have dealt with abuse, any kind of trauma, I think that's a good maybe tool for someone to do, a victim impact statement or just a letter to yourself. To even, you don't have to do a video of it, you don't have to openly share it, but even just for your own emotional well-being, I think that's a good idea to maybe write yourself a letter and just get it all out of what's happened, how it makes you feel, just some emotional clarity. I think that's a great idea to do.
Yeah, and absolutely, they don't have to share it to the public if they don't want to. I understand a lot of people are embarrassed sharing their stories, but they could
Yeah.
even get together as a family and everybody write something out and prepare something to speak. They could just be speaking to each other. Yeah, or
Yeah.
like you said, write it to their self. I mean, it could do anything, but I felt like it did heal me just a little bit to write that out. Just to say that,
Yeah.
I am a victim and I did, we are, we have been hurt by this. But, the whole reason I even started my channel was because that was a way for me to get our side of the story. At first, it was a way for me to get our side of the story out there because I thought I was going to go to prison for something I didn't do. And I thought, well, at least this way,
Yeah.
somebody might hear our story, at least if this happens.
Yeah.
And now it's just to expose corruption in the government, so it kind of morphed into something I didn't really even mean it to. It was almost
Mm-hmm.
like it started off as just almost like a diary, not really even like
Yeah.
a channel. But then I got tired of watching it happen to other people. And then not only do CPS take children from innocent parents, but then the ones actually abusing and neglecting their children, they just get passed over.
Yeah.
And I just want to be clear, this is not towards all CPS workers. Obviously, there are good ones.
Right.
There are some
Yeah.
that I do have respect for CPS, the ones that do their job correctly. They do go out to very hard
Right.
situations. So I'm not just trying to bash all workers, but this is just towards the ones
Right.
that just abuse their power.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
definitely. And
sorry, I was just going to say one thing I will say is, um, another way that collecting evidence helps is I feel like I know CPS, they can get vindictive and they want, they want to get back at you for fighting back and all. But I feel like it is a good way to help stop them from what they're doing because they kind of backed off on me a lot once they started seeing that I was fighting back and how hard I was fighting back. I even had another
yeah.
child after all of that. It was a girl. Her name's Rebecca. They didn't take her. They sent her to the hospital, but they didn't take her away. I recorded them. I have the video on my
Oh.
channel. I recorded them while they were at the hospital. Um, yeah, so they didn't take her away, but I was able to give her to my family. I talked with her every single day. It was just,
Oh,
for her own protection. So she wasn't harmed
yeah.
by CPS. And then I just I try to avoid pregnancy now, but, yeah, so I did notice that once I started fighting back really hard, CPS backed off a lot. I feel like
Oh,
because I
wow.
was exposing their lies. Maybe they didn't want to get caught in any more lies. I really don't
Yeah.
know. I just noticed that once I started doing that, I didn't have as many problems as I did before.
Yeah. Another good point to keeping the evidence, keep even when you maybe feel like it's not doing something, at some point you never know, it could come back up and actually help you or do something even in the future. So that is a good point still to make, that documenting never hurts. And it's good to keep doing that to at least have the evidence.
Yeah. Oh, you definitely. And even if I can't go back to court, I still have all the evidence. I have plans of.
Yeah.
I'm even getting together a protest right now. Building the members, trying to figure out where it's going to be. One of the things I
Yeah.
plan to do is to print out some of the documents that prove that they lied and blowing them up to poster board size so people can see
Mm-hmm.
clear evidence that they lied, right? And
Yeah.
not just, well, they got to take my word for it. I always show evidence because I understand they don't know me. I could be lying to them. I've even shown evidence on my channel, so
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing I plan to do. Even if you can't get your kids back, or there's little to nothing you can do, or you feel like there's little nothing, there's so much that people can do. I mean, there's just so
Right.
much. I've I started the channel, even if they don't want to start the channel, they could try to do a protest or a march, but to do a march, you need to have a permit. So it's definitely good for everybody to study up on the Constitution, learn what their rights are, learn what the laws are, what, the police and CPS workers and the court systems, what they can and cannot do to somebody. It's so much easier
Yeah.
to fight back if you know what your rights are, and what the
Mm-hmm.
law says. And, so that was
That's
just one
very true.
example, the protests or
Yeah.
the marches or something. I mean, that's just one example. There's so much that people can
Yeah.
do to try to help change this. There's petitions. I started a petition to try to get the laws changed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that more people have more power than they believe that they do, than they
Realize.
realize.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, all good points being made for that. And again, thank you for coming on today and being open and sharing hard situations, cases that you've gone through. I really appreciate that. And I know it will make others who are listening who have also experienced maybe a corrupt system, alienation, abuse, that, narcissism happening to them where they're intentionally keeping them from the children or making false reports. I know it will definitely shed light and help others feel less alone going through it. So I truly appreciate you being on here today and sharing openly like you did.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for listening to You Can't Break Us. If this episode spoke to you, subscribe and leave a review. Every voice matters. Every story counts. If you or someone you know has a story to share, email youcan'tbreakuspodcast@gmail.com to connect with me. Until next time, stay strong, stay grounded, and never stop using your voice. Because no matter what they've tried to take from us, they can't